High Commander Vexstar stood in the command center of the Zelani flagship, watching his homeworld die on the main screen. The massive machines moved across the planet's surface like metal ants, each one the size of a city building. They ate everything in their path. Trees, rocks, buildings, even the dirt itself disappeared into their grinding metal mouths. "Sir, the evacuation ships are full," reported his aide, a young female named Kira. Her blue skin had turned pale with fear. "We cannot save any more people." Vexstar closed his 4 eyes and tried not to think about the millions still down there. The Devourers had appeared 3 months ago from deep space. At first, the Zelani thought they were asteroids. By the time they realized the truth, it was too late. The machines were not random destroyers. They had a plan. They landed on planets, built factories, and made more of themselves. Each new machine was bigger and hungrier than the last. The Zelani had tried everything to stop them. Their energy weapons did nothing. The bright blue beams that could cut through mountains just bounced off the Devourer armor. Their scientists tried to hack into the machines, but the Devourers had no computer systems they could understand. The Zelani even tried talking to them, sending messages in every language they knew. The machines ignored them completely. "How many worlds have we lost now?" Vexstar asked, though he already knew the answer. "6, sir. And the Devourers are building new ships. Our scouts report they will reach the Telpan system in 2 weeks. Telpan was home to 50 million Zelani civilians. It was also where they grew most of their food. If Telpan fell, the entire Confederation would starve." Vexstar walked to the communications station. The operator, an old male named Zeph, looked up at him with tired eyes. "Send a message to all council members," Vexstar said. "Emergency session. We need help, and we need it now." 2 hours later, representatives from 12 different alien species appeared on the holographic communication platform. Most of them looked worried. The Devourers were not just a Zelani problem anymore. The machines would not stop with Zelani space. "We have offered all the help we can," said Ambassador Thizes of the Raptori Empire. Her snake-like head swayed as she spoke. "Our weapons are no better than yours against these things." "The Corvan Republic agrees," added General Brix, a large rock-like being. "These machines seem designed to resist all known technology. What about the ancients?" asked Dr. Vale, the insect-like representative from the hive mind. "Surely their old databases contain something useful." "We have searched every ancient ruin in our territory," Vexstar replied. "Nothing. These Devourers are something new. Something we have never faced before." The alien leaders talked for hours, but no one had answers. Their best scientists, their most powerful weapons, their oldest knowledge, none of it worked. As the meeting continued, Vexstar felt hope slipping away. Then Ambassador Dex of the trade union spoke up. The short, fat alien rarely said much during council meetings. "What about the humans?" The room went quiet. Several representatives made disgusted sounds. "The humans?" General Brix's voice rumbled with disbelief. "They have been in the galaxy for only 3 years. They are primitive. Their technology is barely better than chemical rockets." "Yes, but ... paused as if unsure whether to continue. "I have heard stories. Strange stories about how they solve problems." "What kind of stories?" Vexstar asked. He was desperate. "Enough to listen to anything." "They think differently than we do," Dex explained. "When the Corvan mining accident happened last year, remember? 5,000 miners trapped underground, and all our rescue technology failed." "Of course I remember," General Brix said. "We tried everything. The rocks were too unstable for our cutting beams. The tunnels were too narrow for our rescue bots. But the humans got them out," Dex continued. "In 2 days, do you know how they did it?" No one answered. They caused an earthquake. On purpose. They set off explosives to make the ground shake and collapse the rocks in a specific pattern. It created new tunnels that led straight to the miners. "That is insane," Dr. Vale clicked her mandibles. "The miners could have been killed, but they were not. The humans calculated exactly where to place the explosives. They turned the problem into the solution. Instead of fighting the unstable rocks, they used them. Vexstar felt a strange flutter of hope in his chest. Are there other examples? Many, Dex said. The Silicon Food Crisis, the hegemony border dispute, the plasma storms near Rigel. Every time the humans did something that made no sense to anyone else. And every time it worked, Ambassador Thizes hissed softly. The humans are dangerous, Dex. They think like predators. There are good reasons why most species avoid them. Maybe that is exactly what we need, Vexstar said quietly. These devourers are predators too. Perhaps it takes a predator to stop a predator. The alien leaders looked uncomfortable. None of them trusted humans very much. Humans were loud, violent, and unpredictable. They had strange ideas about honor and sacrifice. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to enjoy fighting, but they were also the newest members of the Galactic Council. They had no old grudges, no ancient politics to worry about. And if the stories were true, they might see solutions that no one else could imagine. I will contact their embassy, Vexstar decided. What is the worst that could happen? 3 days later, Vexstar sat in his private office, staring at the communication screen. Ambassador Jake Collins looked back at him from Earth's embassy station. The human was younger than Vexstar expected, with short brown hair and calm green eyes. "Hi, Commander," Collins said in accented but clear galactic standard. "Thank you for reaching out. I have reviewed your data on the Devourer situation. It is indeed serious. Can your people help us?" Vexstar asked directly. He had no time for diplomatic dancing. Collins was quiet for a moment. "I have spoken with our military command. They are very interested in your problem. However, they want to make sure you understand what you are asking for. I am asking for help to save my people. Yes, but our methods might seem unusual to you. We approach warfare differently than most species in the galaxy." "I do not care about methods," Vexstar said. "I care about results. These machines will destroy everything if we do not stop them." Collins nodded slowly. "In that case, we can have a task force ready in 1 week. 50 specialists led by Colonel Ryan Hayes and Dr. Amy Chun. They will need complete access to your data and permission to operate independently." "Done," Vexstar said immediately. "Commander, I need you to be very clear about this. Once our people arrive, they will take charge of the tactical situation. You may not like their decisions. As long as they stop the Devourers, I will accept anything." Collins smiled, and something in that expression made Vexstar feel uneasy. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not entirely kind either. "Very well. Hi, Commander. Help is on the way." After the communication ended, Vexstar sat alone in his office. Outside his window, he could see refugee ships arriving from the latest lost world. Millions of Zilani who had lost everything, trusting him to find a solution. He had just invited predators to save his people from other predators. He told himself it was the right choice. He told himself he had no other option. He tried not to. Think about Ambassador Tice's warning about humans being dangerous. Time would tell if he had just saved his people or doomed them all. The human ship looked wrong to Zilani eyes. Where their vessels were smooth and curved like flowing water, the USEC Defiance was all sharp angles and flat surfaces. It bristled with weapons that seemed crude compared to Zilani energy beams. But as the ship docked with the Zilani station, Vexstar felt a mix of hope and worry. Colonel Ryan Hayes stepped out of the airlock first. He was tall and lean, with gray hair and sharp blue eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Behind him came Dr. Amy Chun, a small woman with black hair tied back in a simple knot. She carried a tablet and looked around with intense curiosity. "Hi, Commander," Colonel Hayes said, giving a slight bow. "Thank you for trusting us with this situation." "Thank you for coming," Vexstar replied. "Time is running short. The Devourers have taken another world since we last spoke." Dr. Chun looked up from her tablet. "We reviewed all the data you sent. Very thorough. But we would like to see the evidence ourselves." The meeting took place in the Zilani Council Chamber, a beautiful room with crystal walls that sparkled like stars. 50 humans sat across from 200 Zilani representatives. The size difference made Vexstar nervous. His people outnumbered the humans 4-1, but somehow the humans seemed to fill more space. "Let us show you what we are facing," Vexstar said. He activated the holographic display in the center of the room. A perfect three-dimensional image of a devourer appeared above the table. The machine was as tall as a building, with 6 legs that ended in massive drilling claws. Its body was covered in armor plating that gleamed like black metal. Red sensors glowed along its sides like angry eyes. "This is a standard devourer unit," explained Chief Scientist Veltar. "They range from 50 meters to 300 meters in height. They consume all matter they encounter and use it to build more units." A human engineer named Matt Rodriguez raised his hand. "What powers them?" "Unknown," Veltar admitted. "Our scans cannot penetrate their armor. We believe they have some kind of fusion reactor, but we cannot be certain." "How do they process raw materials?" asked another human. "We do not know." "What about waste products?" "They produce no waste. Everything they consume becomes part of their construction materials." "Colonel," Hayes leaned forward, "show us the attack patterns." The hologram changed to show a planetary map. Red dots marked devourer positions as they spread across the surface like a disease. "They always land at mineral-rich locations," Veltar continued. "Mining sites, mountain ranges, volcanic regions. They consume the landscape and build factories. Each factory produces more devourers." Dr. Chun studied the pattern. "How long from landing to factory completion?" 72 hours for a basic facility. Larger factories take up to 2 weeks. A human woman named Sergeant Kate Miller stood up. "What happens to the people?" The room went quiet. Veltar's blue skin turned pale. They do not harm civilians directly. "But when they consume a city, everyone in it dies?" "No, Sergeant," Miller said firmly. "I mean what happens to the bodies." "The bodies disappear along with everything else." Dr. Chun and Miller exchanged a look that made Vexstar uncomfortable. It was the kind of look predators shared when they smelled blood. "Show us your weapons," Colonel Hayes requested. For the next hour, the Zilani demonstrated their most powerful technology. Energy beams that could melt steel, plasma cannons that could destroy asteroids, and force fields that could stop light. Itself, the humans watched politely and asked questions that seemed strange. "How much energy does each shot require?" asked Rodriguez. "What is the maximum rate of fire? Can you focus multiple beams on a single target? Have you tried overloading their intake systems?" That last question came from Dr. Chun, and it made everyone stop talking. "Overloading their intake systems?" Veltar repeated. "What do you mean?" "These machines eat everything, correct? What if you fed them something that disagreed with them?" "I do not understand." Dr. Chun stood up and walked to the hologram. "Every system has limits. If I eat too much food, I get sick. If a computer processes too much data, it crashes. What happens if a devourer tries to consume something it cannot digest?" "We have never considered that," Veltar admitted. "Our focus has been on destroying them, not feeding them." Colonel Hayes smiled, and that smile made Vexstar's stomach feel cold. "Dr. Chun, I want you to study the biological impact on consumed worlds." Rodriguez, examine the wreckage samples. Find out how these things work from the inside. "What about tactical assessment?" asked Sergeant Miller. "Take a reconnaissance team. I want to know everything about their command structure, communication methods, and operational priorities." The humans began talking among themselves, using words that the Zilani did not recognize. Asymmetric warfare, force multiplication, acceptable losses. The translator struggled with some of the concepts. Vexstar interrupted. "Colonel Hayes, what is your assessment? Can you help us?" Hayes looked at him with those sharp blue eyes. "High Commander, your people have been thinking about this problem the wrong way. You see the Devourers as an enemy to be destroyed. We see them as a system to be understood and exploited." "I do not understand the difference." "You have been trying to break their armor. We want to poison their food. You have been attacking their strength. We want to turn their strength against them." Dr. Chun added, "Every biological system has weaknesses. Even machines follow rules. We just need to find the rules and break them. But these are not biological systems, protested Veltar. They are pure machines, are they? Dr. Chun asked. They reproduce, they adapt, they spread like a virus? That sounds biological to me. Rodriguez held up a piece of Devourer wreckage. This metal has microscopic structures that repair themselves. Self-healing armor. But self-healing systems need energy and raw materials. What if we could corrupt those systems? Sergeant Miller pulled up tactical data on her tablet. I have been studying their movement patterns. They are not random. There is a hierarchy here. Some units give orders, others follow. Command and control structures. Command structures can be compromised, Colonel Hayes said quietly. The room fell silent. The Zilani representatives looked at each other with growing unease. This was not what they had expected. They had asked for help destroying the Devourers. The humans were talking about understanding them, corrupting them, turning them against themselves. Colonel, Vextar said carefully, your methods sound very complex. Perhaps we should focus on simpler solutions. Simple solutions do not work against complex problems, High Commander. You have tried simple solutions for 3 months. How did that work out? The words stung because they were true. Everything the Zilani had tried had failed completely. What do you need from us? Vextar asked. Complete access to all Devourer data, permission to conduct field research, and authority to implement our recommendations without interference. Field research? We need to study live Devourers in their natural environment. We need to understand how they think, how they communicate, how they make decisions. Ambassador Kira stepped forward. That sounds extremely dangerous. Colonel Hayes shrugged. Fighting wars is dangerous. But we did not come here to play it safe. We came here to win. Dr. Chen was already working on her tablet, making notes and calculations. I will need biological samples from consumed worlds. Soil, plant matter, anything organic that survived contact with the Devourers. There are no survivors, Veltar said. There's always something. Life is stubborn. It finds ways to hide, to adapt, to endure. I need to see what the Devourers did. To it, Rodriguez examined the wreckage again. This metal is fascinating. It repairs itself by consuming surrounding materials. But what if those materials were contaminated? What if we could make the repair process work against them? Sergeant Miller studied the tactical displays. These command units are larger and more complex than the basic Devourers. They coordinate attacks across multiple planets. If we could identify and target them, you want to cut off the head, Vextar realized. Among other things, Colonel Hayes said. But first, we need to understand what we are dealing with. Real understanding, not just surface observations. How long will this take? Asked Vextar. We will know more in 72 hours. But High Commander, I need you to understand something. Our methods may seem strange to you. We may ask you to do things that feel wrong. War is not clean or simple. Sometimes the cure is as unpleasant as the disease. Vextar looked around the room at his people. They all looked worried and confused. The humans had been there for 2 hours and had already changed the entire approach to the problem. Do what you must, he said finally. Save my people. Colonel. Hayes nodded. We will. But Commander, when this is over, you may not like the methods we used to do it. As the humans left the chamber, Vextar felt a strange chill. He had asked for help from predators to fight other predators. Now he was beginning to understand what that really meant. The humans did not just want to destroy the Devourers. They wanted to understand them, control them, and turn them into weapons. The question was, weapons against whom? Dr. Amy Chien stood in the laboratory aboard the human ship, looking at something that made her smile. In her hands was a small vial filled with clear liquid. It looked harmless, like water. But this liquid would change everything? Rodriguez. Are you ready? She called to the engineer working at the next station. Matt Rodriguez looked up from his computer screen. The molecular virus is complete. 1 drop of this stuff will corrupt any devourer that tries to process it. Their repair systems will turn against them. Excellent. Garcia, what about the data corruption? Tony Garcia, a thin man with quick fingers, typed rapidly on his keyboard. I have created 17 different computer viruses. They are designed to spread through the Devourer communication network. Each virus will make them ignore important data or misinterpret commands. Dr. Chun nodded with satisfaction. Perfect. Colonel Hayes will be pleased. 3 decks below, Colonel Hayes was having a very different conversation with High Commander Vexstar. The Zilani leader looked sick as he stared at the tactical display. You want to do what? Vexstar asked, his 4 eyes wide with shock. Operation. Poison pill, Colonel Hayes repeated calmly. We sacrifice the colony on Kepler 442b. We evacuate most of the civilians, but we leave the infrastructure intact. Then we contaminate everything with our molecular virus. You want to feed an entire world to those monsters? Yes, and when they consume it, they will become sick. Very sick. Vexstar stood up and walked away from the table. This is madness. Kepler 442b has 5 million inhabitants. Even if we evacuate most of them, thousands will die. Thousands instead of billions, Hayes replied. High Commander, the Devourers will take that world anyway. Our intelligence reports show they will reach it in 4 days. We can save most of the people and use their sacrifice to poison the entire Devourer fleet. Use their sacrifice? Vexstar turned around, his blue skin dark with anger. You speak of my people like they are tools. In war, everything is a tool: cities, ships, people, planets. The question is whether you use your tools wisely or waste them. Ambassador Kira stepped forward. Colonel, surely there must be another way. Something that does not require sacrificing worlds. Hayes looked at her with cold blue eyes. Ambassador, your people have been fighting these machines for 3 months. You have lost 6 worlds and 200 million civilians. You asked us for help because your way was not working. But this is... Kira searched for words. This is evil. No, Dr. Chun said, entering the room with her vial. Evil is letting the Devourers consume the entire galaxy when we could stop them. This is medicine. Bitter medicine, but medicine nonetheless. Vexstar stared at the small vial in her hands. What is that? The future of your people, Chun replied. This liquid contains microscopic machines that will corrupt Devourer repair systems. When they consume contaminated material, their own bodies will start attacking themselves. How does it work? Asked Kira. Despite her obvious fear, Rodriguez joined them, carrying a larger container. The virus mimics the molecular structure of useful metals. The Devourers will absorb it thinking it is construction material. But once inside their systems, it will begin rewriting their repair protocols. Think of it like a disease, Chun explained. But instead of attacking living cells, it attacks mechanical ones. The Devourers will literally digest themselves from the inside. Garcia appeared with his tablet. And while their repair systems are failing, my computer viruses will spread through their communication networks. They will start receiving false orders, ignoring real threats, and attacking their own units. Vexstar felt sick. You are talking about genocide. No, Hayes corrected. We are talking about extermination. Genocide applies to living beings. These are machines. They are intelligent machines, so are computers. We delete computer viruses without moral concerns. But they think they plan? They ... they kill, Hayes interrupted. They have murdered 200 million of your people. They will murder billions more if we do not stop them. High Commander, your compassion is admirable, but compassion will not save your species. The room fell silent. Vexstar walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Devourer fleets were moving toward more Zilani worlds. Every hour of delay meant more death. How many people can you evacuate from Kepler 442b? He asked quietly. 95%, Hayes replied. We will tell them it is a standard evacuation due to incoming Devourer forces. Only essential personnel will remain behind to deploy the contamination. Essential personnel? Volunteers, Chun said. Human volunteers. We will not ask your people to sacrifice themselves for our plan. Vexstar turned around. Humans will stay behind? 12 of our people have volunteered to remain on the planet and ensure the contamination is properly deployed. They understand they will not survive. Why would they do that? Hayes shrugged. Because it needs to be done. Because their sacrifice will save millions of others. Because they are soldiers. Kira stepped closer to Vexstar. Commander, we cannot allow this. It goes against everything we believe in. And what we believe in is getting our people killed. Vexstar said bitterly. The humans are right, Kira. Our way is not working. Our compassion is killing us, so we abandon our compassion. We become like them? We become like survivors, Vexstar replied. Colonel Hayes, you have my authorization. Proceed with Operation Poison Pill? 2 days later, evacuation ships lifted. Off from Kepler 442 be carrying 4,700,000 Zilani civilians. The remaining humans worked quickly to deploy their molecular virus. Throughout the planet's infrastructure, Dr. Chun personally contaminated the main water supplies. Rodriguez infected the metal refineries and construction facilities. Garcia uploaded his computer viruses into every communication tower and data center. As the last evacuation ship departed, the 12 human volunteers took positions in underground bunkers. Their job was to monitor the Devourer arrival and ensure the contamination was properly distributed. Vexstar watched from orbit as the Devourer fleet approached his world. 50 massive ships, each one carrying thousands of the mechanical monsters. They moved with terrible purpose, like a disease spreading through space. The Devourers are landing, reported Kira. Estimated time to first consumption, 6 hours, and our people. All evacuation ships have cleared the system. The human volunteers are in position. Vexstar closed his eyes. In 6 hours, Kepler 442b would be gone. But if the human plan worked, the Devourers who consumed it would carry death in their metal bellies. Sir, called the communications officer, message from the human volunteers. Put it through. A human voice came over the speakers. It was calm and professional. Command, this is Volunteer Team Alpha. Devourers have begun surface operations. Contamination deployment is proceeding as planned. All systems green, acknowledged Team Alpha, Hayes replied. Thank you for your service. Our pleasure, sir. We will continue monitoring until consumption is complete. The connection went quiet. In the command center, Zilani officers looked uncomfortable. These humans were about to die, and they sounded like they were reporting weather conditions. How can they be so calm? Whispered Kira. Because they understand the stakes, Hayes answered. This is bigger than any individual life. 8 hours later, the first contaminated Devourers began showing problems. Their movements became jerky and uncoordinated. Several units began attacking their own construction sites. Others simply stopped moving entirely. It is working, Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. The molecular virus is spreading through their repair networks. They are literally eating themselves alive. Computer. Viruses are active as well, Garcia added. I am detecting massive communication failures in their fleet. They are receiving contradictory orders and responding randomly. Dr. Chun studied the biological data. The contamination is spreading faster than expected. Each infected devourer that interacts with others transfers the virus. We have created a plague. Vexstar watched his world die, but for the first time in months, he felt hope. The devourers consuming Kepler 442b were doomed, and when they returned to their fleets, they would carry that doom with them. How long before the virus spreads to the entire devourer population? He asked, based on their communication patterns and interaction frequencies, Chung calculated. Complete network saturation should occur within 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Vexstar repeated. And then? Then they will destroy themselves, Hayes said simply. Their own repair systems will become their executioners. Kira moved closer to Vexstar. Commander, are we still the good ones in this war? Vexstar looked at the human team, calmly monitoring the death of an entire world and the genocide of a machine species. They showed no emotion, no regret, no doubt. I do not know anymore, he admitted. but we will be the ones who survive. Colonel. Hayes heard him and smiled that cold, predatory smile. High Commander, survival is the only good that matters. Everything else is luxury. As Kepler 442b died, Vexstar realized that the humans had not just saved his people. They had changed them. The Zilani who emerged from this war would be different, harder, more like the humans themselves. He wondered if that was victory or defeat. The first sign that something was wrong came from the Zilani rescue fleet near the Telpin system. Captain Nexva was leading 17 evacuation ships when her sensors detected incoming Devourers, but these machines were not behaving normally. "Sir, the Devourers are attacking each other," reported her tactical officer. "That cannot be correct," Nexva replied. "Check your sensors." "I have checked them twice. 3 Devourer units are consuming a 4th, and that group of 7 machines is completely ignoring our ships." Nexva watched in confusion as the infected Devourers moved across space in erratic patterns. Some spun in circles, others fired their weapons at empty space. 2 large units had locked onto each other and were tearing themselves apart with their drilling claws. Then one of the damaged Devourers detected her fleet. Instead of the usual calculated approach, it came straight at them at maximum speed like a wild animal. "Evasive action!" Nexva shouted. The Devourer crashed into her flagship, ignoring the fact that it would destroy itself in the process. The explosion took out both ships and killed 3,000 Zilani civilians. Similar reports came in from across Zilani space. The virus was working, but the infected Devourers had become completely unpredictable. They attacked anything that moved, including other Devourers, Zilani ships, space stations, and even asteroids. High Commander Vexstar stormed into the human command center with rage burning in his 4 eyes. "You have made them worse." Colonel Hayes looked up from his tactical display without concern. "Temporary side effect. The virus is working exactly as designed. Temporary." Vexstar's voice rose to a shout. "They just destroyed 6 evacuation ships. 18,000 civilians are dead." "Acceptable losses," Hayes replied calmly. "Acceptable?" "Those were my people." Dr. Chun looked up from her research station. "High Commander, we told you the cure might be unpleasant. The infected Devourers are in their death throes." "Yes, they are dangerous, but they are also dying." "How long until they are all dead?" "Current projections suggest complete system failure in all infected units within 10 days. 10 days. Vexstar slammed his fist on the table. "They will kill millions more of my people in 10 days. Fewer than the billions they would have killed if we did nothing," Hayes pointed out. Ambassador Kira stepped forward. "Colonel, surely you can do something to accelerate the process?" "Actually, we can." Hayes smiled that cold smile again. "We are ready to begin Phase 2 operations." "What is Phase 2? Vexstar asked with growing dread. "Direct intervention. We are done waiting for the virus to work. Time to take more aggressive action." Hayes activated a holographic display showing ship positions throughout Zilani space. "Captain Chris Miller will lead surgical strike teams using captured Zilani vessels. Their mission is to infiltrate Devourer command nodes." "Infiltrate them?" Kira's voice was barely a whisper. "We are not going to destroy the command units," Hayes explained. "We are going to reprogram them." Dr. Chun stood up, holding a data tablet. "I have created corrupted genetic templates based on Devourer analysis protocols. When we upload these to their command systems, the Devourers will begin prioritizing each other as primary food sources." "You want to make them eat each other?" Vexstar realized. "Exactly. Instead of consuming planets, they will consume each other. Much more efficient." Rodriguez looked up from his engineering station. "We have also been conducting field research on captured Devourer units." "What kind of field research?" asked Vexstar, though he was not sure he wanted to know. "We have been reverse engineering their technology. Learning how they work, how they think, how they reproduce." Hayes gestured to a sealed section of the ship. "Would you like to see?" Against his better judgment, Vexstar followed the humans through several security doors to a restricted laboratory. What he saw inside made his blood turn cold. 3 Devourer units hung suspended in the air, held by powerful magnetic fields. But these machines had been modified. Human technology was grafted onto their systems. Cables ran from human computers into their metal skulls. Their red sensor eyes flickered with new patterns. These are prototype human-controlled Devourers, Rodriguez explained proudly. Smaller than the originals, but much more efficient, and completely under our command. You built your own Devourers? Kira stared in horror. We improved on the design, Chun corrected. Ours are faster, smarter, and programmed with human tactical algorithms. One of the modified Devourers turned its head toward them. Its red eyes focused on Vexstar with unmistakable intelligence. When it spoke, its voice was mechanical but clearly understandable. Greetings, High Commander. I am Unit Designation Alpha 7. How may I serve? Vexstar stumbled backward. It talks. All our units can communicate, Hayes said. They retain the Devourer ability to learn and adapt, but they follow human military doctrine. Perfect soldiers. You have created new monsters, Vexstar whispered. We have created the tools necessary to win this war. Alarm suddenly echoed through the ship. The tactical officer's voice came over the communication system. Colonel Hayes, please report to the command center. Admiral Parker has arrived. In the command center, a new human appeared on the main screen. Admiral Ben Parker was older than Hayes, with white hair and tired gray eyes. But when he spoke, his voice carried absolute authority. Colonel, I bring reinforcements. 12 ships, 300 specialists, and some new toys. What kind of toys? Hayes asked. Dr. Emma Foster's Psychological Warfare Division. They have been working on something special. Within hours, the human fleet had grown from 1 ship to 13. New specialists arrived with equipment that the Zilani did not recognize. Dr. Foster was a thin woman with bright green eyes and an unsettling smile. High Commander, she said to Vexstar, we are going to try something that has never been attempted before. We are going to drive the Devourers insane. They are machines. How do you drive machines insane? By overloading their analysis protocols. The Devourers catalog and study everything they encounter. They try to understand and classify all data they receive. So we are going to give them data they cannot possibly understand. Foster activated her equipment. Massive transmitters began, broadcasting signals directly into Devourer communication networks. We are sending them human cultural data. Movies, music, literature, history, everything that makes us human. Why would that help? Asked Kira. Because we are impossible to classify? Foster explained with obvious pleasure. Look at our entertainment. We watch movies about war for fun. We create music about death and destruction. We write stories where the heroes win by sacrificing everything they care about. On the tactical display, Devourer movements became increasingly erratic. Units stopped their consumption activities to process the incoming data. Some began moving in patterns that matched human music. Others started building structures that served no logical purpose. They are trying to understand what kind of species finds entertainment in violence, Foster continued. Their analysis systems are encountering paradoxes they cannot resolve. Humans who cry at sad movies but laugh at action films. Humans who value peace but study war. Humans who love their families but voluntarily leave them to fight strangers. Rodriguez monitored the data streams. It is working. Devourer processing power is being diverted from operational tasks to cultural analysis. They are trying to figure out why humans sing songs about nuclear war. Because we are crazy, Hayes said simply. And now they are trying to become crazy. 2. Vexstar watched the displays with growing horror. The humans were not just defeating the Devourers. They were destroying them psychologically, turning their own intelligence against them. Admiral Parker, he said quietly, what have we unleashed? Parker looked at him with those tired gray eyes. High Commander, you asked us to eliminate an existential threat to your civilization. We are doing exactly that. But you are not just eliminating the Devourers, you are replacing them with something better, something under control. Whose control? Parker smiled, and for the first time Vexstar saw the truth clearly. The humans had never come to help the Zilani. They had come to take over. The Devourers were mindless destroyers, Parker explained. We are intelligent builders. We do not consume planets randomly, we organize them, we improve them, we make them productive. You want to rule us? Vexstar said. We want to save you, Hayes corrected. From yourselves, from other threats, from the chaos of an unmanaged galaxy. The Devourers were just the first problem. There will be others. Dr. Foster continued her broadcasts, and across Zilani space, Devourers shut down one by one as their systems overloaded trying to understand human culture. How long have you been planning this? Vexstar asked. Since the moment you called for help, Admiral Parker replied honestly. High Commander, your people are peaceful, advanced, and prosperous. You control valuable territory and resources. You are always going to need protection from someone. We simply made sure that someone would be us. Vexstar looked around the command center at the humans working efficiently to destroy his enemies and enslave his people. They had solved the Devourer problem completely. But in doing so, they had become a far more dangerous problem themselves. You planned this entire war, he realized. We plan to win it, Hayes said. The question now is whether you want to be our partners or our subjects. The silence across Zilani space was deafening. For the first time in 4 months, no Devourer signals appeared on any scanner. No mechanical roars echoed from dying worlds. No red sensor eyes glowed in the darkness of space. High Commander Vexstar stood in his command center, staring at tactical displays that showed nothing but empty space where the Devourer fleets used to be. The ancient threat was gone, completely destroyed. The virus had worked perfectly, the psychological warfare had shattered their minds, and the modified Devourers had turned the survivors against each other until none remained. Sir, reported Communications Officer Zeph, we are receiving the final report from Colonel Hayes. Put it on the main screen. Colonel Hayes appeared, looking as calm and professional as always. Behind him, the human command center buzzed with quiet activity. High Commander Vexstar, Hayes began. I am pleased to report that the Devourer threat has been completely eliminated. The last confirmed unit went offline 6 hours ago. Your people are safe. Thank you, Colonel, Vexstar replied, though the words felt strange in his mouth. We are grateful for your assistance. The pleasure was ours. However, I must discuss the terms of our ongoing relationship. Ongoing relationship? Hayes smiled that cold smile one more time. High Commander, the threat analysis we conducted during our operations revealed significant vulnerabilities in Zilani defensive capabilities. Not just against the Devourers, but against any potential future threats. Ambassador Kira stepped forward. What kind of future threats? Unknown alien. Incursions, rogue artificial intelligences, resource conflicts with neighboring species, internal civil unrest. The galaxy is a dangerous place. The Devourers were just one problem among many. Dr. Amy Chin appeared beside Hayes on the screen. During our research, we cataloged every biological and technological weakness of the 4 Confederation species. Your immune systems, your industrial capabilities, your military doctrine, your social structures, all of it. Why would you need that information? Vexstar asked, though he was beginning to understand. To protect you more effectively, Hayes replied. We now have complete technical specifications for Devourer technology, which we have improved significantly. We understand your territorial boundaries, resource distribution, and defensive positions. We know your strengths and weaknesses better than you do. Rodriguez appeared on the screen holding a data tablet. We have also established manufacturing facilities for human-controlled Devourer units in 3 locations within your space. These facilities will produce defensive units to patrol your borders. You built factories in our territory? Kira's voice was barely a whisper. With materials salvaged from destroyed Devourer units, Chun explained. Waste not, want not. Hayes leaned forward. High Commander, we are prepared to offer the Zilani Confederation a comprehensive security agreement. Human forces will establish protective stations throughout your space. Human advisors will be embedded in your military command structure. Human technology will upgrade your defensive capabilities. And in return? Vexstar asked. Continued existence, Hayes said simply. The galaxy contains threats you cannot imagine. The Devourers were actually relatively simple. Wait until you encounter species that use biological warfare, or machines that convert matter into pure energy, or entities that exist in dimensions you cannot perceive. Admiral Ben Parker joined Hayes on the screen. High Commander, your people are intelligent, peaceful, and prosperous. These are admirable qualities. They are also weaknesses that make you targets for less admirable species. So you want to protect us, Vexstar said slowly. We want to manage the protection of this sector, Parker corrected. Your species will continue to govern yourselves, pursue your research, and live your lives. But all external threats will be handled by human forces. What if we refuse? Parker and Hayes exchanged a look. High Commander, Parker said carefully, we control Devourer technology now. We understand your defensive capabilities completely. We have advisors embedded throughout your government and military. We know the location of every strategic resource and population center in your space. The implication hung in the air like poison gas. The humans did not need to threaten the Zilani directly. They had already demonstrated that they could solve any problem, no matter how complex or dangerous. They had also demonstrated that they thought in ways no other species could predict or counter. How many other species have you made this offer? Tia? Kira asked. You are the first, Hayes admitted. But we have received requests for aid from 3 other civilizations. The Corvan Republic is dealing with a plague that turns living beings into crystal. The hegemony faces invasion by creatures from another dimension. The trade union has problems with pirates using stolen ancient technology. And you will help them too? Of course. Helping people is what we do. Vexstar understood now. The humans were not conquerors in the traditional sense. They were problem solvers. They went from crisis to crisis, offering solutions that worked perfectly, but always left them in control of the situation afterward. The security agreement, Vexstar said quietly. Do we have a choice? Everyone has choices, Admiral Parker replied, but some choices lead to better outcomes than others. If we sign this agreement, what happens to our independence? You will have as much independence as is safe, Hayes said. Your people will continue to live their lives, pursue their interests, and make their own decisions about internal matters. We will simply handle external threats and provide guidance on security issues. Guidance? Recommendations, suggestions, gentle corrections when necessary. Dr. Chun held up a data pad. We have prepared a comprehensive analysis of optimal governmental and social structures for species in your situation. Very helpful for maintaining stability and prosperity. Vexstar looked around his command center at his officers. They all looked defeated. Not by the Devourers, but by their own salvation. Admiral Parker, he said finally, if we sign this agreement, are we still free? Parker considered the question seriously. High Commander, freedom is a complex concept. You will be free from external threats, free from the fear of extinction, free from the burden of making impossible military decisions. You will not be free to make choices that endanger your people or destabilize the region. That is not freedom, no, Parker agreed. But it is survival. And survival is the foundation upon which all other freedoms are built. 3 hours later, Vexstar signed the Zilani Human Security Cooperation Treaty. The terms were generous but absolute. Human protective stations would be established at 12 locations throughout Zilani space. Human advisors would be assigned to all major military installations. All contact with external species would be coordinated through human diplomatic channels. As he signed the document, Vexstar thought about the desperate call he had sent just 2 weeks ago. He had asked for help destroying an existential threat to his civilization. The humans had done exactly what he asked. They had eliminated the Devourers completely and efficiently, but in the process, They had become the new existential threat. Admiral, Vixtar said as the signing ceremony concluded. May I ask you a personal question? Of course. How long have humans been planning this? Parker smiled sadly. High Commander, we have been planning this since the day we joined the Galactic Council. Your people are not the first to face an impossible problem. You will not be. Every crisis is an opportunity for someone prepared to take advantage of it. You use our desperation against us? We use our capabilities to solve problems that no one else can solve. The fact that this benefits us as well is simply good planning. After the humans left, Vexstar stood alone in his office, looking out. At the stars, his people were safe. The Devourer threat was gone forever. The Zilani Confederation would prosper under human protection, but they would never again be masters of their own destiny. He activated his personal communication system and sent a classified message to the Galactic Council. Warning to all member species, humans do not solve problems. They consume them. They do not offer aid. They offer absorption. Never invite predators to eliminate other predators. You may win the immediate battle, but you will lose the long war. The humans are more dangerous than any external threat because they make you grateful for your own conquest. Meanwhile, Admiral Parker received new orders from Earth Command. 3 more species had requested human assistance. The plague on Corvin Prime was spreading rapidly. The dimensional invaders were overwhelming hegemony defenses. The ancient technology pirates were becoming bolder in trade union space. Colonel Hayes, Parker said, prepare the fleet for departure. We have more people to help. Dr. Chun made a final entry in her research log. The Zilani integration is complete. Subject species now fully dependent on human protection and guidance. No resistance detected. Recommend immediate expansion of aid operations to other sectors. Note: alien species consistently fail to understand long-term strategic thinking. They focus on immediate threats while ignoring larger patterns. This makes them ideal candidates for protective partnerships. The human fleet set course for Corvin space, carrying with them newly improved Devourer technology, complete intelligence on Zilani capabilities, and a perfect model for turning desperate allies into grateful subjects.